What's up guys, this is Rise and welcome to a special type of video. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm actually going to be taking you through some different battles and giving you my top tips of how to win in Go Battle League. I've seen some comments that are interested in my types of strategies, specifically different situations. So I'm going to take you through my top 3 tips of how to win, and I'm going to feature 3 of my own battles and 2 battles from my friend JR Skater, who has a YouTube channel of his own. He's a really nice guy. He has some really cool content. I encourage you to check him out, and I'll leave the link to his channel in the description. So with that said, I want to preface this video by saying I don't think I'm like the best player in the world or anything like that. I think I'm above average. At one point, I was ranked number 58 in the world on the Go Battle League leaderboards on Sylph, a competitive tournament type of website. I have about a 73% win rate, which is pretty strong. So I think I'm pretty good at this game. I'm nowhere near the best, but I think I'm in an upper level where I can provide you guys with some insight of how to win. So without further ado, let's get into these battles. And tip number 1 for you guys is going to be understanding the importance of switch advantage and alignment. So I'm going to show you a couple battles that are my own where we lose the lead harshly. So Obstagoon versus S-Cavalier, we're going to be getting hit by double super effective damage, so we have to switch right away. You have to know to switch out of that right away because you're just going to get shredded. And we switch into an Armor Mewtwo, and they have a pretty solid counter for us in their Snorlax. But because we have access to Dynamic Punch, this is a very close matchup. So now we're just going to go for Side Strike, because at this position, Side Strike would be enough to take out Snorlax, and they shield. So at this point, we're getting Lick down. Lick is doing super effective damage against Mewtwo, and we know we can't get to another charge move, so we are just going to let our Mewtwo go and take the shield advantage. And this is why switch advantage is so important, because our opponent makes a huge mistake here, and instead of letting their Snorlax go down, they switch into S-Cavalier, and I knew it was probably just a drill run, so I let it go. And I am then able to switch in my Giratina, which has a great matchup against S-Cavalier, because these counters are going to be double resisted, and I'm going to be hitting them for neutral damage with my Shadow Claws. And Drill Run is going to hit for neutral, and Mega Horn is going to be resisted because of the Dragon typing, I believe. So here comes in Snorlax now, and we're able to just Shadow Claw down. We were patient, not using our energy, and S-Cavalier comes back in. Or excuse me, Cresselia comes back in. And we know that Cresselia can't Psycho Cut us down, so we actually put in our Obstagoon, and because we got the attack boost, and we know Cresselia can't Psycho Cut us down, we actually commit a shield with very little health, which allows us to get to this next Night Slash. Does a lot of damage, and we actually get to another one. Crazy. Obstagoon can outpace Cresselia 2 charge moves, so we get to that last one and we can take that. So you saw, even though we lost the lead, because we had an understanding of getting out of there and retaining and getting a better alignment, our Obstagoon was able to avoid the S-Cavalier, mostly because our opponent swapped out when they didn't need to, and that's what won us that game. I'm going to show you one more example of this in this next one. It's the same lead, Obstagoon versus S-Cavalier. We switch into Mewtwo right away, and they switch into a Giratina this time. Okay, so again, this isn't great for Mewtwo, but it's a lot better than the matchup we had before, and we actually have a chance of being able to come out of this on top. They're gonna hit us with a Shadow Sneak probably. Yeah, that'll hit for super effective, but Mewtwo's very tanky. We get to another Side Strike. I assume they're probably gonna shield here. They shield, and at this point, what do I say to do? I know they're going to be able to outpace me to a charge move, so I do not shield. And I actually switch into my Obstagoon here, okay, because I didn't want to get farmed down. So questionable decision, because this allows them to switch into Escavalier. But notice how I commit no shields, because at this point my Obstagoon is pretty much dead weight. And they go for an Acid Spray actually. So I'm able to get off this charge move, and I know no matter what I'm going to lose this matchup, so there's no point in committing a shield here. I'm better off letting it go, and that way I can align my Giratina with this Escavalier and just farm up a ton of energy. So I was aware that that was a terrible situation, Obstagoon versus Escavalier, so I didn't waste any shields. I just did what I could and let it go. Then they come into Empoleon, and this is pretty good for us because waterfalls are going to be resisted, and it's going to take them a ton of waterfalls to get to a Blizzard, and we're well aware of that. I don't know what I try to do there, maybe sack swap Mewtwo or something. But yeah, now we're going for the Shadow Sneak. It gets shielded, and we're in a great position now because we have 2 shields. I know it's probably just the Hydro Cannon, but I have to use my shield at some point because even though they won't do much, they'll still chip away. And yeah, I'll let this one go just in case Escavalier has a charge move or something. And I'm over farming a little bit because I don't want to get baited into a sack swap situation. Shadow Sneak goes through. We just go for the Dragon Claw because I think they're very low with their Escavalier that they... Oh no, Giratina. My bad. Giratina was the one that was still alive. But you see there in 2 straight matches that we lost the lead harshly, Obstagoon versus Escavalier. But because we switched and we got a better alignment and we understand the concept of switch advantage and alignment, we were able to come back from those bad leads. And the Obstagoon versus Escavalier matchup ended up not hurting us all that bad. Okay, so now we're gonna go into a couple of JR Skater's battles once again. Thanks JR Skater for the footage. Make sure to subscribe to him down below. Awesome channel, and a friend of mine from the Osmo PvP server. So join that server as well. And tip number 2 is going to be understanding when to overfarm for energy and how to use it. So he's rocking a pretty cool team with Swampert, Cresselia, and Articuno in the back. I feel like most people run Articuno in the back, so interesting that he's doing Articuno, or most people do Articuno in the lead, so interesting that he's doing Articuno in the back. And we saw him make a nice swap to absorb a Hydro Cannon before with Cresselia, and he gets fortunate with a couple of debuffs on the Moonblast from Cresselia, so now Snorlax is going to be doing very little damage. These licks are still adding up, but Body Slam, like you'll see here, does very little. Actually goes for Earthquake. Even an Earthquake didn't even take out Cresselia from that range. So pretty crazy. It shows you how tanky Cresselia is, and he actually gets a shield on this double debuffed Snorlax. He comes in with Swampert, and because he had stored energy, he can just go for Hydro Cannon right away, and that way he doesn't have to eat any charge moves on the Snorlax. And now Swampert comes back in. Hydro Cannon will do quite a bit against Swampert because it hits for neutral because of that ground water typing. Another Hydro Cannon is going to go through. He knows he can survive this, so he lets it go through. He's going to throw a Hydro Cannon of his own, try and get that last shield, or let it go through. And now he's going to go into Articuno. Let's see if he commits his last shield here. He doesn't know what's in back, so he's actually going to let it go through. And look how he's over farming here. He commits his last shield. And he over farmed enough because he knew what he was going to need, that energy for whatever in back. So he didn't throw that Icy Wind, even though it might have been able to avoid the Hydro Cannon. Now he has double Icy Winds to throw against this Giratina, which will hit for a lot of damage, and now Giratina has been double debuffed. So what looks to be a poor situation actually turned out to be pretty good in his favor, and because Giratina has been debuffed, it allowed it to get to probably a few more Ice Shards. Now he's over farming again with this energy because he knows that he's gonna need a Hydro Cannon to take out that Swampert in the back. If he had just gone straight for Hydro Cannon as soon as he got it, he would have lost this match. But because he over farms with energy and was aware of that Swampert in back, he gets the Hydro Cannon off, and that allows JR to take that match. So GG's there to JR. And we've got one more battle from him, showcasing this same tip number 2 of the importance of energy usage. So he's got a good lead here. Cresselia versus Swampert. He's gonna go straight Grass Knot because a lot of people are running Moonblast Future Sight, and Grass Knot would actually one-shot a Swampert, I'm pretty sure. After he revealed he had Grass Knot, he's probably expecting a switch, so he over-farmed, not using it. He goes for the Moonblast, and that way he potentially could have got the debuff, and he gives his Pokemon coming in a health advantage against the switch-in Pokemon. So that way, the switch-in is not at an energy disadvantage. Well, it still is at an energy disadvantage, but it has a health advantage, which will help him with tip number 1, and that's retaining switch advantage, because he needs to come out with this matchup with switch advantage. He's over farming a ton, and that way he can potentially bait his opponent into shielding. His opponent decides to let Snorlax go. This Swampert comes back in with a Hydro Cannon, and he's gonna swap right away because he was well aware that Swampert probably had multiple Hydro Cannons stored, and very nice swap, which really keeps him in this game. Straight Moonblast is the way to go here. Cresselia doesn't have a good matchup against Registeel, but he gets the debuff, and that's huge, and that's why you want to go straight Moonblast, because Moonblast damage per energy is such a good move, and also it's just having the chance of getting that debuff is also huge. So that really makes an impact and will give whatever comes in a better matchup against this. He doesn't want to get farmed down with lock-on, so he comes in to Swampert, which has stored energy. Hydro Cannon takes out a good chunk, and he gets to this next Hydro Cannon. So how is this final match going to play out? His opponent does a nice job there of over-farming. Very well done by his opponent. Just before he was able to get to a Hydro Cannon, but he still has an entire Giratina in back, so he's in a good situation. But he has to be conscious that there's a Cresselia, a Registeel in back. So he's gonna need energy for that Registeel, and that's why he's over farming a ton, because now he can get off a Shadow Sneak, and he's actually gonna go for a Dragon Claw potentially as a shield bait. Doesn't get the shield bait, so now he's going for Shadow Sneak. So this is actually gonna be really close. Gets the Shadow Sneak through. Registeel is very low, and oh my goodness, and he gets to another Dragon Claw. So Registeel has to shield this, and time actually expires. So if he had used his energy on that Swampert, he wouldn't have been able to do as much damage to that Registeel and potentially would have lost that match. So great showcase there of using energy wisely by JR. And once again, make sure to subscribe to him. I'll leave a link to his channel down below. And for battle number 5, I'm gonna give you my tip number 3. And tip number 3 is a pretty general and simple one. And it's understanding your team composition and just having a knowledge of your team and having a knowledge of typings and moves throughout the game. You need to have a knowledge base and know what to expect within Go Battle League. So we have a lead, as you saw, Obstagoon versus Melmetal. We know they're probably gonna throw a superpower, so we shielded, and then they make a nice swap into their Togekiss, so to absorb our Night Slash, so good play by them, and then we switch into our Mewtwo. So we knew that they were likely going to shield and get out. So we knew they were likely going to throw the superpower and get out. So it was important that we knew they were going to throw the superpower because that would one-shot. We need to have this knowledge of what to do. And we know that a Charm will likely get through before Mewtwo could finish off this Togekiss. We come in with Obstagoon because we know one counter will take it out. And here's a Swampert. So we know in this matchup against Swampert that unless we get the boost with our Obstagoon, that this isn't a great matchup. So we're going to be able to eat one charge move. It's an Earthquake. That's okay. And then we're going to throw our Night Slash. And even though we might lose this matchup, we know that our Giratina can take out what's in back. And we actually get to another Night Slash because they got greedy, over farming. And if I hadn't got the boost, I would have probably switched out because Giratina, because I wouldn't want Obstagoon to get farmed by Mud Shots, and that would have put Giratina in a worse position. But we were able to take out that Swampert, and now Giratina actually has a favorable matchup against Melmetal because Giratina kind of just out-tanks it. Melmetal is a little bit glassy in the Ultra League, whereas Giratina is one of the tankiest Pokemon, and we're going to be able to hit it for neutral damage with these Shadow Claws, which chunk away, and Shadow Sneak will also chunk away with neutral damage. So there goes the Melmetal. And with that, those are the battles, and those are my 3 tips. So to recap this video, tip number 1 was understanding the importance of switch advantage and team composition, team alignment. So you know how to align your team. If you lose the lead, you need to get out of there. And having like a safe swap. If you have a hard counter, you don't want to go into the hard counter because that hard counter could align with your with the lead Pokemon later on, which can totally flip. If you only have one like real counter and the other 2 are really weak to Togekiss or something, then you probably should go into that anyway. Just because if you switch into something that's still really weak to it, you're basically like giving up a Pokemon. So tip number 1 is understanding understanding team alignment and the importance of switch advantage. Tip number 2 was understanding energy, knowing when to over farm. If your opponent's really low in health and they're not going to get to a charge move, over farm and just fast move them all the way down, and then you can use that energy on the next Pokemon in the matchup. If it's a late game situation and you know you can survive a charge move but they still have a Pokemon in back, you might want to over farm so you have a charge move for that Pokemon in back, because that could prove to be the difference. And tip number 3 is just the general knowledge of the game. Know different Pokemon's potential move sets. Know typing. Typing is huge. You need to know what's super effective against what's resisted by what, and that will really help you win games within PvP and Pokemon Go Battle League. So there you have it. Those are my tips and tricks to winning in Go Battle League. If you enjoyed this type of content, a little different video, more strategy based and insights of things you guys can potentially learn from. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this content with your friends if you thought it was helpful. I really appreciate the support this channel has gotten and the quick growth. Once again, subscribe to my buddy JR, link in the description. And with that said, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.